In late August, animal rights activist Russ Rector sent two colleagues into the aquarium armed with a camera. They documented a facility in disrepair and gave the tape to the county building official. On Friday, he issued a slew of violations.
After we are done with all of these fixes, after we have brought ourselves up to 2003 code, we will be better than we were before this weekend started.
It will take months and lots of money to bring this venerable old facility fully up to code. The owners say they will. The sea lions and their protectors hope they do. Michael Putney, Channel 10 News.
The Miami Seaquarium should be a jewel in South Florida's crown. It's an attraction this community has supported for years. But last week, Channel 10 News was first to report that the Marine Life theme park had an alarming number of safety violations. Let's run down the list. There were electrical code violations, more than 100 of them, crumbling concrete, corroded guardrails, flimsy stairways and viewing decks, even a weak bridge over the shark moat. Now, the Seaquarium did manage to fix several problems in a few days, but we at Channel 10 News are appalled that Seaquarium management let the facility fall into such disrepair. And we're also wondering why Miami-Dade building officials had no clue the place was such a mess. It sounds like it's time to make inspections of facilities like the Seaquarium a regular thing. Tourism is vital to the South Florida economy, and tourists should be safe when they visit the most popular attractions. We want to hear your thoughts about this.
This has been a Channel 10 editorial. We encourage the presentation of contrasting points of view.
See what there is to see at Miami Seaquarium.
This is the shark moat, showing some very deteriorated piping underneath the walkover there. This is a pipe that brings water into the shark moat area for the sharks to keep it circulating. As you can see, the pipe is literally just corroded and cracked open due to age. That's some of the bay water there that comes into the shark moat. Not a pretty sight. The electrical system seems to be very hodgepodged. I can see why those sea lions were electrocuted in '92 after Andrew. No one knows where all the wires go. There's an exposed junction box with exposed wires. You can see there's just years of painting over and over and over, corrosion. The metal is literally rotting out from the inside, but they keep throwing paint on it. It supports the corner of a concrete structure there at the fish tank, but really it's supporting nothing. Look how corroded it is, look how much concrete's missing, and look how the roof is settled and sagged in that area. You'll see later that one of these concrete slabs is literally being supported by a cable from a tree, which tells me that the thing is trying to fall and they're using a tree to keep it up. Here's the round building, the top deck. You can see that corrosion coming down from these iron pipes that are corroding, and the rust is just running down into the pools. These are supports for the roof. Another support, very corroded, that telltale rusty mark that runs down into the water. That adds a lot of iron to the water too, I understand. It helps, causes problems when you're trying to chemicalize the water. Again, more rust, more corrosion. That's one thing you can see in this whole facility, is it's terribly corroded. It's literally, I think, dilapidated to the point that I don't think it can be retrieved. Here you'll see some very serious corrosion on one of the supports. The metal is cracking out. Again, more exposed wiring right there beside the pool. The steps in the round building, the striker plates are loose. You could trip there and fall down a flight of stairs, knock your teeth out. Oh, you could hurt yourself bad. Here's again, corrosion just with 30 or 40 coats of paint over it. This is a davit up there on the top of, I believe it's the reef tank. That's one of these days is just going to pop loose. It's under tension, and the pipe is just literally turning to a pile of rust right there in front of your eyes. It can't support anything. That's the thing that scares me with the whole facility, is the state of corrosion and the state of deterioration that the whole facility's in. That's a roof. Over to one side, look at the wiring. There's an old broom. Here's an exposed wire running out by a terribly rusted out davit foot. I don't think that davit is probably even usable. If you see the electric motor is terribly corroded, I don't think you'd want to send power to that. The roof right beside the reef tank, you can see, is so damaged that it has grass growing into the roof. I mean, not just a little. Look at that. That's huge patches, and you can see some cracks in the roof that appear to be down through the roofing material, and the grass is literally seized on that material and is growing quite well there. That's a lot of grass. Some people don't have that much grass in their whole lawn. And you can see too how tall it is, which means it's been there a while. Here's another roof adjacent, and you can see it's in very, very dilapidated state. In fact, one corner of it has completely collapsed. That roof is just literally rotted out. That's probably the condition of all the roofs in that area. Look at that. That cannot pass code. Look at all the patches on the roof. Back to all that grass. Again, look at all the exposed wiring and hodgepodge of wiring running around the facility. It's like, you know, who knows where each one of those wires goes and what it's connected to. It's been nothing but jury-rigged for years. That can't be safe. Here's a corner of a roof that again is falling down. That's that same roof from a different angle. Here's an exposed outlet where the concrete is literally spalled away from the interior steel supports. That again is over there by the reef tank. These are some of the supports for the railing. One bolt. Look at that. And it's cracked. Here's a nut. See, it's cracked all around it. So that one bolt probably isn't holding anything. That's a shame, and if you look, you'll see a large crack in the concrete itself. Here's another one. It's got two. One of them's cracked. Look how it's cracked off. That's literally just corroded away to nothing. The aluminum has gone away. More exposed wiring, corroded piping. That red and blue that you see behind there is supposed to keep children from falling through, but I don't think it has enough support to do that. You'll see several of the supports are missing. The X's are missing. Here's another support literally corroded away to nothing and is not holding anything. If you fell against that, you probably would not be stopped and would go over the side. That railing is not a barrier to keep you from going over the side as it's supposed to be. There's another one corroded and broken. I believe about every one up there has some degree of damage to them. Here's some more exposed wiring up at the lights where they've everything. There's a lot of exposed wiring all through the Miami Seaquarium, which means they've probably over the years have just been pulling new wires through. As you can see, some of the wires are cracked there. Here's a floor that's been repaired over and over with concrete patches, and the patches are failing. Again, that railing. And if you'll notice just a moment, the railing has deteriorated to a point that they have repaired the railing with pieces of PVC and hose clamps. But this is another one of those supports for the railing that's supporting nothing. There's where they made the hose clamps connect the piping to where it is literally broken apart, and they've replaced it with hose clamps. This is another one of those railing supports that's supporting nothing. You can see in just a moment one of the people move it, and you can just see it sliding up and down. It has no support whatsoever. It's there for show. It's nothing more than there to look at. It is not a safety railing. And those hose clamps look like razor blades. They could probably cut you very severely. There's one of those child restraint areas to keep children out is broken off, so it's not. Look at the bottom. It has no support on both sides. You can see where both supports have been torn out on the corners. There's another one torn out.
And this is all public area.
Yes, this is where you walk around the top deck of the what they call the reef tank. And again, look, a piece of PVC and two hose clamps keeping you from going over the side. There's another support missing. Another support missing at the bottom. Again, another support missing at the bottom and top. That wouldn't keep your child from going over the side. Another broken railing mount at the bottom. Just about every mount here, all these railings have some type of damage or corrosion damage to them. I don't think this rail would keep you from going over the side if you happen to stumble and needed to catch it. Again, here's part of the crumbling of one of those railings. This is over by the reef tank, where you can see the concrete's been patched many times. You can see the two different colors at end to end, and over a big hole, a big area of concrete that has just literally fallen away, they put this big diamond plate, aluminum plate, to cover this hole. If you'll see, the crack continues on here. That's part. It gets larger the other way. You'll see it. And did you keep it down when he went in to when you can see the crack? There's that part of the repair with where the concrete has been literally gouged out, and they just keep trying to repair and repair. Salt crystals from leaking. This is part of the corrosive problem. You can see where the wall's been damaged from the leaking. That's just salt damage. There's salt damage and corrosion on another striker plate on the stairs there in the round building. Every one of those striker plates has some degree of damage to them. All of them need to be repaired and replaced. Look at that, where the concrete is literally broken away. The striker plate is broken. That one's corroded away and broken. Look at the crack between the striker plate. That could trip you and send you down a flight of stairs. Here's another patch where they just poured concrete in to where the concrete had gone away. Again, more damage to the stairs, the striker plates. That's very serious. That could really hurt you. Again, more of the railings up there. You can see, look at the railing move just with the least little pressure. More corroded metal supports. This, I believe, is a davit that's up there that literally has corroded away to nothing. I think the only thing holding it together is the paint. You can see as we go up it, it has corrosion damage all up it also. That's a light pole, yeah?
Over the water.
Oh, exactly. Here's more exposed wiring on one of the light poles. The light poles here, all around Seaquarium, seem to all have some type of... There's another one of those mystery cables. We don't know where it comes from or where it goes or what it's carrying. That's dangerous when you've got all those wires just running around like that. And look at this. There's the high voltage room, their electric room, where that wire was coming out of. And look how corroded everything is. It doesn't give me a feeling of safety. Life support. This is a part of the roof up there at the round building where the concrete is spalled away from the reinforcement bar because of corrosion, and that bar is just literally now corroded away to nothing. These supports all have corrosion in them, but you see, if you look, there's thick coats of paint around them. That's the one thing that they try to do here, is just keep slapping coats of paint on to cover these sins. Broken railing over by the sea lions. Here's a broken railing over by the sea lions that's literally cracked from settling, and they just stick it back together, slap a little concrete on it and some paint. There's a cracked walkway there right up to it. This facility is really showing its age. It's coming up on 50 years old. There's that broken railing. You can see how it's just separated. It's just separated, and they've done nothing but just sit it back together and slap a little concrete and paint on it. Sounds like a sea lion in the background. That's over by the Golden Dome. Look at the salt crystals there. How long is that salt crystal? 4 inches? 5 inches? Again, look at all the dripping water and all the salt crystals. Look at this one salt crystal. That's a complete line of salt crystals all the way down the entire length of the tank. And look at the water dripping here. If you see the water's coming out, the water's not coming out over the top of the concrete. It's literally coming out from between the layers, which means the water has gotten between the different layers of concrete, the stucco and the concrete there. That probably is a nightmare underneath there. It's been doing it long enough. Look at the algae growing. That's been wet long enough that it has a heavy growth of algae in the water. That's not a new leak. That's a very dangerous leak too when it's leaking through the structure, not over it. There's those salt crystals. There's the leaking water. Look at the pipes. Everything just leaking. Imagine day after day, week after week, year after year of that water leaking. Here's the thing that really surprises me. Look at this cable. This is a steel cable, support cable, holding up that structure with the round concrete slabs. There's the cable where it's spliced. It goes over, and I couldn't believe this when I saw it. It's literally using a ficus tree as a support to keep this concrete structure from toppling over. More salt crystals. These salt crystals are very damaging to concrete. They get into the concrete, and you can see, look how long these crystals are. This takes a while. These crystals aren't formed overnight. This is over at the Manatee building, and look at this. These are crystals that are growing out of the roof, which is the floor of the above you, the second level. But look at this. They're literally dripping out of the floor and out of the tank. There's one other you'll see in just a moment where the crystal is about 4 to 6 inches long. There they are, growing right out of the roof, which means the water is leaking all the way through that slab of concrete. More crystals growing along there. Here's another piece of structure that's being held up by a cable. Look at the paint. Look at the layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of paint. That's just trying to hide sins. The infrastructure, the supports of the Miami Seaquarium have corroded away to nothing. Here's a walkway that is literally cracked and split to the point that it's going to fall apart. It could trip somebody tomorrow and break a leg or whatever. Here's an everyday extension cord that they found in a public area so they can plug in Christmas lights in the trees. Now, that is not an accepted way of moving power in a public facility. That people could step on. You see, the child was barefooted. You step on that, or rain hits that, and it's hot, somebody will get electrocuted. More salt crystals over around the Manatee building. And look at that. More exposed wiring. The wiring here at the Miami Seaquarium is a nightmare. Here's another electrical outlet that's damaged that water can get into. More exposed wiring here, just coming out and spliced here, spliced there. Again, lights. They seem to be having a real problem with their lights at the Miami Seaquarium. If you notice, all of them have exposed wiring to some degree. This is an interesting shot here over at the shark moat. This is their crane they used to lift sharks in and out with. And you can see the gate there is all corroded away. The wall is falling apart. And if you look at the supports under the crane, they don't exist. The crane legs themselves are so corroded and painted over and over. Look at the metal there, just literally dilapidated, falling apart. You couldn't pick anything up with that. It has no strength left whatsoever. It's just a mass of metal. Here's a wonderful way to show you how they do their railings. Look at these railings across. Look how they've actually just corroded apart underneath the iron railings, and they've put PVC cut in half over the railings. And look at the pipe, hose clamps, how they attach it to the pipe and leave the tail ends. This is a very dangerous place because of the structure of the Miami Seaquarium has gotten to the point to where it can't support itself. It's literally trying to fall down. It's dangerous for the people that are forced to work every day inside the Miami Seaquarium, their employees. It's dangerous for the customers, the guests that come in there, pay good money to come in there expecting to find a facility that's been well kept. And finally, it's dangerous for the animals that have to live in those structures. You cannot keep putting Band-Aids and coats of paint on this concrete that is non-existent. You can't go in and do cosmetic surgery on them. They've gotten to the point to where truly they are a safety hazard and must be demolished.